So we got new practice audio that just came out from our reporters on the beat at Intuit Dome today. We heard from Coach Lou, John Collins, and Nico Batum. I will bring you that audio in just moments here on Clippers Talk.
Here we go, Clips fans.
Clippers Talk with Adam Osland. After every game, download every pod. Clippers Talk's the name. He's a basketball talking golden god.
New episodes after every game on demand.
Follow Clippers Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Clippers.
Welcome into Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Osland. Did a show just yesterday. Didn't know this was happening today, but probably could have guessed. Since they have 4 days off between games, they're playing again on Friday in Houston. So that's game 5 of this 5-game road trip. But yesterday did a show I also wanted to follow up on before we hear from Coach Lou. Was the title not changed by me? I thought I changed it. Let me see if I can change it here. Coach Lou and players talk CP3. My fault. I thought I just put this up here a second ago. Coach Lou and players reacting to CP3 at practice. We'll get to all that. I promise you. But some people yesterday were still responding and commenting on the video I did where we went through about 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, every defensive possession in the fourth quarter from that Clippers Mavericks game about a week and a half ago that had Kawhi Leonard on the court, because I was trying to do two things there. And maybe I didn't make it clear enough, and that's my fault if I didn't. But one, analyze what Chris Haynes was saying about what happened in that ball game from his source, and how CP3 was asking for a switch, but only suggesting it, not telling the Kawhi Leonard that there's a different defensive assignment out there, merely suggesting it since he wasn't fully warmed up yet, even though he had just played and, yes, went out for about 3.5, 4 minutes there between the start of the fourth quarter and the end of the fourth quarter due to a minutes restriction. But he was merely suggesting, according to the report from Chris Haynes, CP3 was only suggesting that they switched the coverage late in the game. And yes, that was part of what I was dissecting in that video. The other part was because a lot of people took from that, oh, Kawhi must have been getting destroyed by Klay Thompson, and Klay Thompson's washed. So therefore, Kawhi Leonard's defense must be awful now. I was responding to that too, and just wanted to see how much Kawhi was even on him, which was not much. So, to reference Petro some money, I did want to make it clear that there were two different things I was trying to get across. And some people were saying that, well, you're not going after the crux of what Chris Haynes was saying, because he was merely talking about the very end of that game. And I understand that part of it. My point would be, how much reasoning could there be to get Kawhi off of Klay Thompson if he wasn't on him that much to begin with, and therefore, how much could he really be struggling with Klay? Where was the evidence that he was struggling with Klay for the necessity to switch off of him late in the game, since he wasn't guarding him to start the fourth quarter? He was guarding him late in the game, and there was a possession where he blew up a screen set by Dwight Powell, who then went to the free throw line. Was that the instance? And then there was the timeout, and it was as simple as that. And that's when CP3 was talking to him. There was some footage shown on Amazon Prime in that clip from Chris Haynes. Maybe it was that simple. I tend to think there's a lot more questions there. Again, how much was he struggling with Klay if he was hardly on him? And he didn't look to be struggling much, because that was the argument for taking him off of Klay. Maybe Kawhi did say something. Maybe he was tired. So also Kawhi was good and fine with guarding Cooper Flag earlier in the fourth quarter, who was the toughest assignment out there, but not good for Klay. Now you could argue maybe after guarding Cooper Flag for that amount of time, it wore him down and he was tired. And yes, he was on a minutes restriction and just came back. I would also argue, why was he still starting possessions on Klay after said timeout if he was too tired to guard him? And they supposedly changed the coverage in the huddle, or CP3 suggested they do. Why even start the possession on him then if you know you're going to switch? Or if he knew he couldn't chase Klay around off some of those screens? And then I would also say to those arguing, well, he's only talking specifically late in the fourth quarter. And you can see that there were some switches out there. So that lends credence to the story. Maybe. But they also switch all the time anyways. So I can't say for certain that was the reason for it, because their defense is so switch heavy and they concede switches all the time. Like I said yesterday, to me, that part is inconclusive. And I think Chris Haynes does a great job. I think it's also clear from his own tweeting and reporting on X that this source very likely could be Chris Paul. So you're only getting one side of the story regarding this instance of him possibly overstepping, at least from the Clippers' point of view, with how much he was coaching late in a close game against the Dallas Mavericks. And Chris Haynes even says this is just one instance or one example. But if the information is coming from Chris, since, Chris Haynes also said he was texting with Chris Paul about his future after his release from the Clippers, you can deduce that maybe this story involving him and Jeff Van Gundy is also coming from CP3, and that is the source. And therefore, we're not getting all the information. Or maybe it was more than just suggesting that Kawhi should get off Klay Thompson. Maybe it was a little more firm than that, because it sounds here like I'll play the audio for you one more time. Just to clear this up for the last time, since so many people are talking about it. And I did a show on it yesterday. Just want to be accurate here.
Reportedly weighing his future with the only franchise that he's played for. The Bucks are now 10-14 on the season, and the two-time MVP.
My fault. Wrong video. Here's the leeway story. As this entire thing was based off of a social media tweet from CP3 with the definition of leeway.
Again, joined by NBA contributor Chris Haynes. Now, Chris, clear something up for me. A few days before his release, CP3 posted a screenshot on his Instagram story with the definition of the word leeway. Looking back, what was that all about?
Yeah, so that occurred from a game against the Dallas Mavericks, their last home game they played. It was in the fourth quarter. Kawhi Leonard is on a minute restriction, and sources told me that.
It's just, look at his tweets. He said he was just texting with Chris. So a lot of people are suspecting the source here is CP3, which is fine. Others are saying, well, what Kendrick Perkins is doing right now, he must be getting his information from Coach Lou, and they're both using the media to try to control the narrative and lessen the PR blow that's coming towards the Clippers right now, or towards CP3. And they're both telling their side of the story. He said versus CP3 said. Fine. I totally, I am very much open to that possibility, of course. I just think in this instance, with what we were talking about yesterday, I think it bears mentioning at least that he's saying sources say, and he also had been tweeting about and was interviewed talking about texting with CP3. So is this CP3 as the source here? I don't know.
Kawhi Leonard is on a minute restriction, and sources told me that when he was guarding Klay Thompson, he was struggling when he got into the game after sitting down for a while. He was struggling keeping up.
He was struggling when he got into the game after sitting down for a while. Again, the only real evidence for that is one possession where he was fighting through a screen from Dwight Powell. If that was it, okay. It's not nothing. Just he wasn't even guarding him earlier in the game. Maybe that was the reason he didn't want to chase around Klay. Fair.
With Klay Thompson. And so there was a timeout call late in that fourth quarter. And during the fourth quarter, and during that timeout, Chris Paul went to Kawhi Leonard and said, hey, man, are you fresh enough? Do you feel good? Do you feel like you can stick with Klay Thompson? And he asked.
Clearly, CP3 talking with Kawhi. It is a little unclear at what time of the game this happened, but got to accept that this is the timeout they're referring to.
The teammates, he said, hey, y'all might want to switch this.
The part that I might take issue with is the phrasing and the framing of it is, hey, you might want to switch this. He's just suggesting to switch this. If the source was CP3, you know, it may have been stronger than that, or people might have interpreted it as being much stronger than that, or the coaching staff already wasn't being very receptive to some of his suggestions with adjustments.
Wait till he gets warm until he goes and guards Klay. Klay is.
Okay, this is also weird to me. Wait till he gets warm to guard Klay. If it's this late in the ball game, first of all, he was out for like 3.5, 4 minutes. He had already played earlier in the fourth quarter. Wait till he gets warm. That's a little bit strange to me. And then is he really going to have enough time to warm back up if there's only a minute left in the game to then put him on Klay? Yeah.
You feel good? You feel like you can stick with Klay Thompson? And he asked the teammates, he said, hey, y'all might want to switch this. Wait till he gets warm until he goes and guards Klay. Klay is killing.
Wait till he gets warm. If it's that late in the game, I don't know if he's ever going to have time again to get warm. And it's not like he had just been out for half a quarter or he just got back from halftime. He was playing earlier in the fourth quarter.
And guards Klay. Klay is killing, had about 5, 6 threes at that point. And so they ended up.
See, that's the part that I think needed a little bit more context. Klay had about 5 or 6 threes at that point. As I showed you in the footage, none of them were on Kawhi. So I think a lot of people interpreted this as, oh, he's killing Kawhi out there, and that's why he had to get off of him. The only real play where you could say there was an issue is, yes, the one they showed where he's fighting through the screen with Dwight Powell.
Until he goes and guards Klay. Klay is killing, had about 5, 6 threes at that point. And so they ended up switching.
See, I just don't see this as that uncommon.
The match
the Clippers.
The assignment. And so the next day, Jeff Van Gundy, assistant coach for the Clippers, he called a meeting with Chris Paul on the plane the next day, and he asked Chris Paul if he changed up the defensive assignment yesterday. And Chris said, no, I didn't change up the assignment.
See, this is what could be lost in translation here. Let's say the conversation did happen. His source was correct. But Chris is saying, no, I didn't change it up.
Yesterday. And Chris said, no, I didn't change up the assignment. I just suggested, hey, we might want to have somebody else guarding Klay right now because Kawhi is not warm yet.
I just suggested we might want to have somebody else. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe others saw it differently with the way he was talking to Kawhi about the assignment, and it was more than just a suggestion. I don't know. Or we might. I don't know.
Have somebody else guarding Klay right now because Kawhi is not warm yet. And so I was told that Jeff Van Gundy told Chris Paul, listen, you might have had leeway in other places to be able to, to change up defensive coverages, but you don't have that leeway here. And that was just one of the minor verbal incidents between Jeff Van Gundy and Chris Paul. That was one of a few in this brief span with the Clippers.
So that's the explanation from Chris Haynes about the leeway tweet. I just wanted to be more clear since people were asking me about it yesterday and saying, no, he was saying just late in the fourth quarter. I understand that part. I was also making a broader point about just Kawhi and whether or not he was getting torched by Klay Thompson, because a lot of people took what Chris Haynes said there as, oh, Kawhi must have been getting cooked. And he wasn't, because he was hardly on him. And even when he was, that's not when Klay was making all those 3-pointers. So two different things. My fault if I wasn't clear enough. And I let things be misinterpreted because of that. I try to do my best here, but I once heard a guy say, I make 5 mistakes before breakfast. That was a sports talk radio personality, and JC the Brick used to say that all the time. I make 5 mistakes before breakfast. Okay, let's hear from the practice audio we just got within the last hour here. Starting with Coach Lue, as it was him, it was Nico Batum, and John Collins being asked questions about CP3. And this is coming from Hoop Hype. Make sure to give them credit. And also, thank you to the Clippers reporters there. Let's start with Coach Lue.
Good. How was practice today, and how's injury status for the guys that have been out?
Practice was good today. We worked on a few different things. Jordan participated fully. Bogey participated fully, so that was a good sign.
How's Derek coming?
Bogey and Jordan Miller participated fully. As you can tell, there's a lot of background noise going on here during practice. Let's try to do what we can to cut through it.
Pretty good. We had an individual workout today, yesterday as well, on the court, doing a lot of stuff that we didn't think he'd be able to do right now, but he's been doing it, so he's looking pretty good.
So this is the first time we've been able to really talk to you since the Chris news broke. Kind of your thoughts on the situation.
My thoughts?
Yeah.
I've talked about it already in my room.
Not to us, but this is the first time we've been able to talk.
Have you heard it?
No.
I heard what you said, so I'll rephrase the question for you. What do you think Chris's legacy ends up being, a basketball legacy?
A Hall of Famer, one of the top, 5-6 point guards that ever played this game, and what he meant to the Clippers organization. What he did when I was here my first time around, with him and Blake and DeAndre, JJ, Jamal. It was fun. Lob City, and he'll still always be remembered for that. So I hate to see what happened to him right now. But I think his legacy is still live on.
Do you think he's kind of one of the last great point guards? Because that position has changed so much, the game's changed so much.
I'd have to go through the list, but a guy that controlled the game, I think 9 times all defensive team, led the league in assists multiple times, and just the player that he was, like you said, there wasn't a lot of players better than him.
There was a report.
How are you guys doing with the audio so far as he talks about CP3's legacy? I know it's difficult, but this is the best we got. I also have some separate audio from Joey Lynn that might be a little bit more clear, but my headphones aren't great, and I can make out his answers amid the bouncing basketballs in the background.
That you guys hadn't been on speaking terms for.
Well, this is the question from Joey Lynn about the report that he and CP3 hadn't talked for 2 weeks.
There was a report that you guys hadn't been on speaking terms for a stretch of weeks before the decision to part ways, and the report said that he had even reached out to you and tried to initiate a meeting.
That ain't true.
It's not true.
No.
Coach Lue, Making it very clear that ain't true.
And the report said that he had even reached out to you and tried to initiate a meeting.
That ain't true.
It's not true.
No, we were talking. He played. How you gonna play it? I'm not talking to him.
You know, that's a fair point. We've been talking. How are you gonna play if we ain't talking to him?
Ain't true.
It's not true.
No, we were talking. He played. How you gonna play it? I'm not talking to him. So
how are you gonna play if I'm not talking to him? Yeah, you could probably Zapruder film through some Clippers games and see him talking with CP3 as he brings the ball up the floor. So maybe the report is saying behind the scenes and not just during games. But if things were that bad, well, he was playing. But there's more to that here.
It's not true.
No, we were talking. He played. How you gonna play it? I'm not talking to him. So it was a stretch where when he said he wasn't going to play, he's going to be out of the rotation. It was tough for him because he's a competitor and what the game means to him and what he brings every single day. But as of that, after that, it wasn't really much.
And then,
so there was that stretch where he had, I think, 5 DNP CDs where he wasn't playing, and Coach Lou said that was tough for him. That was tough for him could mean all sorts of things with how Chris handled that. He is the ultimate competitor, as we know, and they tried to make sure, and if you go back to the initial press conference with Lawrence Frank when they signed him, that it was abundantly clear what his role would be. A reserve guard is how he phrased it, to try to avoid something like this. That's what he said this past summer. They brought in CP3. And when I think back to that time and how long it took for the deal to get done, it makes me think, yeah, maybe they were really trying to hammer down the details and get on the same page of what exactly his role would be.
Be out of the rotation. It was tough for him because he's a competitor and what the game means to him and what he brings every single day. But as of that, after that, it wasn't really much.
And then Blake was.
Another question coming from Joey Lynn here.
Every single day, but as of that,
Summer's saying obviously that means off the court. Okay, well, we're about to get an answer here that would say otherwise to that too. And a lot of this is, of course, going to depend on who you want to believe in this situation.
After that, it wasn't really much.
And then Blake was on Amazon. He had said that he's spoken to CP, and according to CP, via Blake, that he hasn't heard from Steve or you since that decision. Is that also true or untrue?
Yeah, I haven't heard from him either.
So were you part of that final conversation as he was on his way out?
No, sir.
So he wasn't part of the final decision to let CP3 go or to send him home. He is technically still a Clipper. I know some people are confused by that. They think he was already cut. No, he was sent home, and they're looking to help him find a new landing spot. Lawrence Frank said that at his press conference. It was reported again today that they will work with him and his representatives on what his next move is.
Since that decision, is that also true or untrue?
Yeah, I haven't heard from him either.
So were you part of that final conversation as he was on his way out?
No, sir.
Has the mood changed with Chris being gone?
Like I said, the guys are not happy about it. It's their teammates, the guy they go to work.
It sounds like he says here, I don't think the guys are happy about it. As in the teammates, his teammates weren't necessarily a part of the discussion of moving on from CP3. That's interesting to me.
With Chris being gone?
Like I said, the guys are not happy about it.
The guys are not happy about it.
Like I said, the guys are not happy about it. It's their teammates, the guy they go to work with every single day, and he was part of us. So it's tough, And so the organization made the decision to do it, and but we got to move on. Like we got to try to win some games, and I don't think the mood changed because Chris is gone. Like nobody wanted to see him gone like that, So there's nothing to change. We just got to win games.
I don't think the mood has changed because Chris is gone. Nobody wanted to see him go like that. This is interesting to me because was it then just between Chris Paul and the front office? Was there anything more going on behind the scenes in the locker room, and they just don't want to turn it into a bigger story with possible instances with teammates? Because from here, it sounds like he and the teammates were good.
Go like nobody wanted to see him go like that, you know. So there's nothing to change. He's got to win games.
Was there any push to get him back? Like you?
Great question here from Law Murray.
There's nothing to change. He's got to win games.
Was there any push to get him back? Like you sent guys home before, and they come back after like a week or 2 weeks. Like, why was this a situation where there's irreconcilable differences?
You got to ask Lawrence.
You got to ask Lawrence. We had seen before guys being sent home and then they eventually come back. That happened with PJ Tucker and Bones Highland, who's starting to have a larger role with the Minnesota Timberwolves right now. Hashtag the skeleton key. So Coach Lou defers to Lawrence Frank on this question about why not just send him home and then bring him back, which a lot of fans have asked about, and media people saying, could this have been handled differently?
Sent guys home before, and they come back after like a week or 2 weeks. Like, why was this a situation where there's irreconcilable differences?
You got to ask Lawrence.
Ty, when you guys are, digging out of this hole record-wise, like how does it feel like every second counts, every day counts?
Every second counts, every day counts, every possession counts, and we play better. We've been close. It's just one turnover that you shouldn't have, or one missed box out, or one missed open three to win the game. And so we've been close, and so just got to continue to keep plugging away, and we got to turn it. Like, we can't have guys turn it for it. We got to turn it for ourselves, and our guys are doing that. It's just we haven't been able to get over that hump. But just one timely turnover, one missed box out, and just that's kind of been our thing the last 10, 12 games.
All the positives that you've seen over the past 3 games, negatives.
Say it again.
All the positives you've seen over the
just not be able to finish the game. Put yourself in position to win games. Outside of that Miami game, I thought we really played some good basketball and had a chance to win those games. And so when you look at it and you're not able to close the game and finish the game, that's when things kind of frustrating.
Is that enough to turn it around, or is it those little things?
Yeah, we definitely can turn it around. Like those, like you said, one big shot, one big rebound, one less turnover, things like that. And when you're able to do that, that's when you can start winning games.
Have you noticed?
I know some people will criticize this and be like, there's still losses. A loss is a loss. There is a difference in how they've been playing the last 3 games overall, where they're 1-2, and how they have looked effort-wise defensively. They're 7th defensively over that time. The problem is still, it looks like they're running out of gas being an older team. You look at the net ratings from first halves to second halves, they go from a top 5 team in net rating to a bottom 5 team by the end of games. So he's not wrong about we're a missed rebound away. You see the Naz Reid 3-pointer, James Harden not boxing him out. That was the biggest shot of the ball game in Minnesota with that loss. But I know fans aren't going to be satisfied with hearing any of this talk right now. They want to see results and wins.
This was a greater intent from the guys process-wise. I mean, obviously, results-wise, the last couple of games haven't been what you wanted, but have you felt this is the best process-wise it has been this season so far?
I think we're getting better. I think, I don't know if it's been the best, but like, guys are putting in the time, putting in the work. We've been trying to adjust to make things easier for the guys. They can calculate it easier on the floor. And so they've been better. Like the last 2 games, I think we're top 7 defensively. So just got to continue to keep moving in the right direction with that. Continue to keep taking care of the basketball like we did last game. And things are going to turn for us.
You guys are...
He's seen the defensive rating also saying they're top 7 the last few games. Yeah, last 3 games, they're 7th defensively. That's why we bring up those stats. The offensive ratings and defensive ratings are the same ones that are used by coaches in front office.
Team keep taking care of the basketball like we did last game, and things are going to turn for us.
You guys are dead last in the league when it comes to time to first action offensively. And obviously, some of that is baked in just because of the way that James plays. Like, it's methodical and all, everything. But like, how do you kind of get guys to get into actions quicker?
And I think if you can get back to me on that, Justin, about, I'm not saying the last 3 games, because we really harped on it, like just, James being getting the ball up faster, getting to our first action faster. And from what I've seen, it looks better the last 3 games, but I need you to check it for me to make sure I'm right. But from the eye test, it looks a lot better.
how James and Kawhi express.
It's definitely been better in first halves. There's no doubt about that, getting into their first actions quicker.
Like their commitment to making this be better. Like I'm sure they have, but like how have they done?
Just have been constant talks. I think their actions, the way they're trying to play. I think James, last game against Minnesota, like not playing ISO the whole game. Like we played a good flow of basketball. Then the last 7 minutes of the game, he was able to go to his ISO, get us open shots to get to the basket, and just like understanding like how we need to play. And I think Kawhi feels the same way.
Were you asking to kind of step up and help those guys out, Kawhi and James, especially offensively?
I thought Boba came in and gave us a huge lift, offensively against Minnesota. It was good to have him back. And then, like I said, our role guys have done enough. I think now we just got to be able to close games, and that's got to be our mindset. Just close the game in the last 4 minutes of games.
Are you a guy that looks back and says, I would have done this different, or I should have done that different, whether it be Chris or the season, etc., or do you just?
Well, with Chris, I had no problem with Chris.
Okay, back to CP3. Ramona Shelburne asking this question.
Center, or do you just?
Well, with Chris, I had no problem with Chris. When you say the guy's a competitor, he wants to play. You can understand that. So, he was a little frustrated at first, but we got over that. We talked.
He was a little frustrated at first. He got over that after we talked. He was a
little frustrated at first, but we got over that. We talked. So, instead I haven't talked to him. We had a 40-minute conversation on the phone,
So he is absolutely shooting down that report that said they hadn't talked for 2 weeks.
He was a little frustrated at first, but we got over that. We talked. So, instead I haven't talked to him. We had a 40-minute conversation on the phone, and that's my guy, my friend before he got here. And so, you don't want to see that happen to anybody, no matter what the circumstances are. And so, but now we got to figure out how to win games. We got to focus on that.
What about?
So when it comes to figuring out how to win games, and you talk about crunch time and the clutch time minutes, which is the stat, last 5 minutes of a game within 5 points. In those situations, the Clippers have an offensive rating of 107, which would be for an overall team ranking, that would be at the bottom of the league, and a defensive rating of 125. Also terrible. They're 2-9, unsurprisingly, in their 11 instances of clutch time. So 11 times this season, they've gotten into clutch time, and they are 2-9 in those situations. And it's not one thing, it's both. Offensively, they've been bad. Defensively, they've been bad. That's why they're tied for being 27th in the league there.
Just in terms of this season, how it's gone.
I can't control injuries. I can't control, certain situations. I can't control, all that. But I think for the most part, when we first came into the season, we thought we got a great team. We thought we had a great chance. And so when you lose Bradley Beal, when you lose Kawhi, when you lose Derek Jones Jr., when you lose Bogey, things can get hard. And so they have gotten hard for us. But now we got to figure out, what we want to do, how we want to get out of this rut. Now that our guys are taking a step in the right direction and putting in the time.
I think the injuries are a reason. I don't think they're enough to explain away a 6-18 record also, because they've had injuries before and have been much better than this.
When it comes to Kobe Sanders, his court sense, is that innate, or is that something that somebody taught him?
Yeah, I think he has a great feel for the game. Just trying to keep him out of foul trouble is the biggest thing. Just keep him on the floor where he's not committing fouls, and some of the veteran guys are taking advantage of him, being handsy and things like that. So just understand the game and being smarter defensively.
Is that innate in him?
Yes.
All right, we had a question here. I talked about the leeway thing a little bit more earlier. I'm not going to venture a guess as to what CP3 could be referring to. I would simply say that the story that Chris Haynes told, that could be accurate. That could be exactly what it is. He's also getting it from one source, it looks like. And considering his reporting on Amazon Prime and other outlets was saying that he was texting with CP3, that source could have been Chris Paul for the leeway explanation. So therefore, the framing of, he was just suggesting that they switch the Kawhi coverage on Klay Thompson maybe it was more than a suggestion, or it was just unwelcomed by the coaching staff because they had already talked to him about this. I don't know. So it just depends on who you want to believe. I'm not saying his reporting's wrong. I'm just saying, where was that source coming from? Who was the source? And considering his source for other things was CP3, I think it's worth looking at that, or at least examining it through that lens, that it's a possibility that it was Chris Paul, as I know a lot of people have kind of surmised with this. But still love Chris Haynes. I love CP3. I just thought, the leeway definition thing. And aside from that, even if it was as tame as it was reported to be, with him suggesting that Kawhi should switch off of Klay Thompson, even if all that's true, I still wonder, is it that helpful if he's putting it out there on social media, a cryptic tweet like that? Is that good for the locker room? Is that good for keeping a harmonious relationship with the coaching staff? There's probably a better way to go about it. Like, I totally understand people want to say, well, he was the one guy holding them accountable. There's still a way to go about it that would make it better received from the players or the coaches. Maybe he didn't use enough tact with his methods, and maybe it was just Chris Paul being Chris Paul, which is fine. His leadership ways have obviously worked in the past. In this particular situation, there's a real good chance it wasn't working, and that is why he was sent home. Again, we're talking about veterans on this team, not just a bunch of young guys. So I wonder how it was received, his criticism. He can be pretty abrasive and blunt with it. God bless him. He's still an all-time Clipper, guys. That shouldn't be lost in any of this. Now the same guy is saying, I get your point. The play is more strong than anything said by a CP3 source. The play is more strong. Okay. More from Hoop Jab here from practice today. It wasn't just Coach Lou speaking with the media. We also have Nico Batum and John Collins. We'll start with Nico here. I'm trying to see who showed up first. And I think John Collins spoke with the media first. So we'll start here with John Collins. Appreciate you guys in the comment section. How do I get back? John Collins said something interesting. I don't know if this was criticism towards CP3 or just being factual. You guys can interpret this one.
John, you guys turned a corner in the last couple games in terms of process for you guys. Obviously, the results haven't been there, but do you feel like you guys are playing better process-wise compared to the early part of the season?
No, I definitely feel like our flow and our ability to catch rhythm is definitely improving. Obviously, a lot of new pieces, a lot of pieces in and out. So just doing our best to try to stay together and continue playing good basketball.
Is that enough to turn this around with all the small positives?
Do our best to stay together is definitely interesting and insightful to, I think that speaks to what we heard from Kobe Sanders in the win in Atlanta immediately post-game, where he said we're trying to block out all the noise. He also had a comment about the leadership was great in the locker room before the game. Some people took that as a slight towards CP3. I think it was just more so they're trying to figure this thing out. And obviously there has been a lot of stories circulating because of the dismissal of CP3. So that makes things especially challenging here. Maybe that's what John Collins is talking about, sticking together.
Compared to the early part of the season?
No, I definitely feel like our flow and our ability to catch rhythm is definitely improving. Obviously, a lot of new pieces, a lot of pieces in and out. So just doing our best to try to stay together and continue playing good basketball.
Or it just could be lineup stuff in different rotations with guys coming back who have been hurt, like Bogey. Yeah.
Enough to turn this around with all the small positives that we've seen in the past.
You want some bigger positives, right? You talk talking in that way to appear, but for me and for most of what life is, it's about the little things, you know, them adding up to having a greater net positive. So you try to just put what you can into the pot and make sure it's adding and not taking.
If you haven't listened to John Collins before, he could be a little bit more philosophical with his answers and his approach.
How was this practice for you specifically, but just how you felt just being back at practice with the team?
It's great. You know, I love sharpening the skills and just being back in the gym, working on our chemistry, working on my game individually, getting extra shots in. It's always nice. You know, we've been on the road a lot lately, so it's nice to just be in the gym and sort of just have those rejuvenation days to get back on track, and hopefully it does myself and the entire group well.
Does this today feel like more of a harder practice instead of those kind of in-season practice where you just kind of get some things in and get out? Like, since you do have this extra time,
I felt like our mentality and how we approached today was a lot better than I was necessarily expecting. Obviously, you know, it's first practice in a while, so I feel like our effort, intensity, and our ability to lock in has raised, and I feel like we all want to win. And so we're taking each possession that much more serious. So I liked our mentality today.
That was encouraging to hear that last part.
Has raised, and I feel like we all want to win. And so we're taking each possession that much more serious. So I liked our mentality today.
Is there enough time to like climb out of the hole here, like, just record-wise?
Yeah, I don't want to make it seem like everything's okay, but there is a way for us to come back, look at the standings and realize what it is. But that's obviously a lot easier said than done for us to actually go out there and win the games, whatever the standings may be, whatever our opportunities to play meaningful basketball this year. We have to come together collectively and believe that we deserve to have those opportunities to play high-level meaningful basketball. So always a way out.
How do you guys?
I think that's pretty realistic, that outlook there. Look at the standings, and yes, they can do it, but it's not as simple as that.
Have that level of urgency without going to like a full-blown panic mode, essentially.
That's part of being a pro, right? This is not overreacting to the ups and downs. Obviously, our record and us losing is something we don't ever really want to come into contact with, but that's again part of us being pros and accepting where we are and having to navigate the circumstances from here. As tough as they may be, you know, I definitely feel like we have the talent and the basketball knowledge and the gym to recover. So again, it's about believing in ourselves and collectively coming together with that correct energy.
You mentioned during training camp that you liked the accountability of this group and just the standard that they were holding you to. And I remember you specifically mentioned CP as a guy that was always in your ear, and you said, you know, whether you liked it or not, like you appreciated the fact that he was always on you. Just what was that connection like between you two, and what was your reaction to what went down?
Okay, so a specific question here from Joey Lynn from Sports Illustrated about his relationship with Chris Paul here. And he did say during training camp a lot, this is a great question, about being held accountable and being held to a higher standard when he came over here.
He was a guy that was always in your ear, and you said, you know, whether you liked it or not, like you appreciated the fact that he was always on you. Just what was that connection like between you two, and what was your reaction to what went down?
Yeah, obviously it didn't work out for whatever reason, but somebody who I looked up to, obviously a Wake Forest guy, a Clipper legend, but somebody I had a relationship with before I was even drafted. So all love and respect out to my guy CP. Again, just didn't work out, not getting into all the extras, but definitely was a lot quieter without him here today. So
Okay, as I go Dr. Evil with Tuca sitting in my lap, could you sit over there, please? This was the part that some people felt like was shade. Let's listen to it one more time.
Clipper legend, somebody I had a relationship with before I was even drafted. So all love and respect out to my guy CP. Again, just didn't work out, not getting into all the extras, but definitely was a lot quieter without him here today. So I'll leave it at that and wishing him well in whatever he chooses to do in his next steps.
It definitely was a lot quieter.
Definitely was a lot quieter without him here today. So I'll leave it at that and wishing him well.
I'll leave it at that. It definitely was a lot quieter without him here today. I'll leave it at that. That could just be pointing out the obvious, that he is very vocal in practice. It could be that some of his leadership style was not appreciated. I don't know, because it seemed like at the beginning of the answer, he's really talking about how much respect he has for CP3, Wake Forest guy. Same with John Collins. He's had a relationship with him before. He's saying all the right stuff, and then says that. I'll leave it at that. Is the part that makes the definitely was a lot quieter here today stand out a little bit more.
I had a relationship with before I was even drafted, so all love and respect out to my guys. CP again just didn't work out, not getting into all the extras, but definitely was a lot quieter without him here today. So I'll leave it at that and wishing him well in whatever he chooses to do in his next steps.
What have you been in touch with him at all since?
I don't know. You guys can interpret that however you want. I can really see it both ways there. I lean towards, I don't think there was a lot to it. I think it's a comment or commentary about who CP3 is at practice. He's a vocal leader out there.
Without him here today, so I'll leave it at that and wishing him well in whatever he chooses to do in his next steps.
What have you been in touch with him at all since I'll have it as part of the group chat? Just text and see how he's doing.
No, I did. I reached out to him. Obviously not going to go back and forth, but I did reach out to him. He was in good spirits. It's hard to really see Chris not in good spirits, so again, wishing him the best, but haven't really went back and letting him handle what he has to handle right now. And I know whenever I do reach back out in the future, I feel like it'll be the same energy he's always receiving with.
See, with the context there of him reaching out to CP3, I don't think it was a dig at him. About definitely a lot quieter here today. He likes CP3.
So like in training camp when you guys were on the second unit together, right? A lot of training camp. What was he like when you were just playing with him?
Intense, man. He's a leader, somebody that wants the best for everybody, and it was extremely hard. Whether it was me not being in perfect sync with him, or him seeing that I gave 95% effort instead of 100%. You know what I mean? He wants greatness, and that's what he demands. So. That was really the biggest thing, as I said, is him being a leader and me trying to play to that standard that he expects me to.
So there's no issue with, I think certain guys may get rubbed the wrong way by him being a drill sergeant out there, but it can also be appreciated because he's just chasing perfection, and that's who CP3 is. So I know a lot of Clipper Nation has sided with him because they think, oh, that's what this team needs. It obviously wasn't that effective in this particular group, given all the losing. But they're 1-2 without him so far, too. So what has been effective?
How James and Kawhi been over the last week as far as taking more of a leadership role or communicating more to keep guys together? Like, how have those guys been specifically?
I can't really speak for the entire team, I guess. Obviously, they've been vocal when they need to be on the court. Off the court, they've been really good with me, and I've had a good relationship with them, being able to speak to them. Whether
he's talking about Kawhi and James Harden.
They've been really good with me, and I've had a good relationship with them, being able to speak to them. Whether it just be just jovial conversations or we're talking about basketball, where we're talking getting serious. So, but Uno specifically has definitely taken the next step. I feel in just his intention and his creativeness, obviously, when he's trying to just speak and put guys in the right spots. Obviously, he has the ball a lot, conductor, as you would say. So he's just been very positive. When he's just trying to lead us, and I feel like he's definitely trying to give us more. So,
thanks, Sean.
Appreciate it, John.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
All right, there was John Collins earlier today at practice, and lastly, we'll hear from Nico Batum, and I think that's it for this episode. Yeah, this is about 4.5 minutes here.
The last couple games have gone. Obviously, it's 1-2, but besides the record, process-wise, have you guys felt like you kind of somewhat turned the corner?
Kind of, maybe. I mean, know we still get 2 losses, but with the way we've been playing and the way we've been trying to get progress during the tough time, I mean, we showed some improvement. I mean, we talk about it. I'm pretty sure nobody can talk about that outside because we still lost the game, but together we're trying to find the positive of it. And yes, we made some mistakes, especially at the end, and we still gave up some big leads. But I mean, it's in the process to figure out how to get better, and we're gonna do it.
Has this been the most?
All right. For those who are saying, they've given up, they don't care, they're tuning out Coach Lou, you don't hear that, and you don't really see that out there in the court. They seem to be trying to turn that corner, as Nico said. Possibly, maybe we have defensively. We still have 2 losses over this time, but the last 3 games, they have been 7th defensively. It is a start. So I don't feel like they quit. I don't think that's the case. And when people talk about, well, you got to fire Coach Lou and all these things, the one thing I've always pointed to is if you lose the team, that's the point to me where you have to start looking at things like that. And I don't think we're there. We'll see how this develops.
Frustrating season that you've been a part of where it kind of hasn't gone exactly as the expectations thought they would?
I won't say frustrated, just weird. It's been weird though. We expected a lot better, but we're missing guys. We're supposed to have a different lineup. We don't have that lineup we're supposed to have. So it's not an excuse, but it's been like a challenge every day to have a different lineup. So when you start losing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, you think about that also. So we just right now just focus on what we have. We have more than enough to beat teams and to be a better team and winning games. So, and today was a great day. We finally have a great practice at home. We've been watching them like a long session at home, so we could work on stuff, see stuff, get better at the defensive part especially. And so we're playing today.
What made this?
I want to address one comment here made by MKXLNT. Drill sergeant is an interesting take. Drill sergeants break you down relentlessly. That was the word or the phrase that I used there. Tuca, relax. It was not John Collins saying that. That was me in this case, and how I was interpreting the way John Collins was kind of qualifying CP3's leadership style. He did, I believe, say it's hard. It's difficult. He's demanding perfection. He doesn't want 95% of your effort. He wants 100%. So, and just going off of, what we've heard over 20 years with CP3. And I don't think that's criticism. I think it's a style of leadership that clearly has worked. Maybe it wasn't effective with this team. More from Batum.
It's a good practice. You touched on defense, but what did you get to do today that you haven't been able to do?
We've been on the road a lot, the last 3-4 weeks. Like I said, it's the first time having a good practice at home. It can be good sometimes just to refresh, to go over stuff, have time, don't really rush. Then we go after that, so that was a good day today.
Nico, what do you say to guys when you're in the middle of something? I mean, you're kind of one of those people who talks to people in the middle of a stretch like you guys have been through. Do you have a message you think is better left unsaid because everybody knows it?
It's going to be noise outside, but don't look at your phone. Don't look at your phone. Don't turn on the TV. But we don't pay attention. It's no offense to you guys. Okay. But now we got to focus on what we have to do. Like we said, the last 3 games, we showed some improvement. I mean, different defense and on offense as well. Kawhi and James been doing great. Now it's on us, the role guys, to do a better job to win games. That's it.
Have you guys been in?
Win games. That's the only thing that's really going to tune out some of the noise. But they have discussed trying to block it out. He's speaking to more of that here. I think he's going to be asked about CP3 at some point.
Talked with Chris since everything happened, since he was sort of sent home, or has there been discussion at all?
I just texted the first day that happened.
He just texted CP3 the first day it happened.
You said that you texted him, so it sounds like the relationship with you guys sounds like was still positive at the time. Everything was down.
Teammates. I mean, it's a teammate. I still got a ton of respect for him.
Good question by Joey Lynn with the follow-up here.
The relationship with you guys sounds like was still positive at the time. Everything was down.
the relationship with you guys sounds like it was still positive with him at the time, considering he texted him.
I mean, he's a
Batum says he's a teammate.
teammate. I still got a ton of respect for him. You know, and you don't spend 21 years and get a favor like that. So, I mean, I got a chance to play with a lot of great players. He's one of them. So I just wanted to text him and thank him for the time I did.
Because there's been a lot of reports about that, even certain players were guys that were on board with the situation. It sounds like
they didn't ask me.
Yeah.
They didn't ask me. So like everybody else, I just woke up and find out about the news. So I mean, it is what it is. This situation with upstairs and thing is not on my pay grade. I'm just here to play basketball. So if something happened, I don't really know about it because you know me. I'm a quiet guy. I just do my stuff, so I don't involve in those stuff. But you know, it just it's sad sometimes to be part of that on both sides, the fans too. So I mean, just wish the best for CP because he's ready to.
So Batum gets it. It's a sad situation, both sides. He also made it clear that he was not asked for his input on the situation before they made the decision on sending CP3 home.
Mentioned that you're one of his favorite players ever since you started playing for him. Like, how's he been from your perspective? Like, is there something where you talk to him more than something sounds like this, or
yeah, we talk. You know, we and I have a special relationship, and we talk. And yeah, no, it's not easy for a coach, you know, in that situation. You know, we're supposed to have a team. We have injuries, and we got guys in the lineup and situation. I'm playing pretty much every day, so he's doing a great job to keep us engaged. You know, it's not easy to find some time a new speech, something new to keep us engaged, and he's doing it. And I think especially the last 3 games, he's doing a great job of, you know, it's a tough time. We all been a tough time, you know, life for basketball. So we're gonna go through that as a team. And I know the fan is tough for the fan right now, but the fan, yeah, just stick with us. You know, we've been through some rough times. We're gonna find a way to get there.
So Batum there showing love to Coach Lou and the coaching staff as a whole, and the fan base.
Team, and I know the fan is tough for the fan right now, but the fan, yeah, just stick with us. You know, we've been through some rough times. We're gonna find a way to get there.
I want to hear this one more time because it's a good way to close out the show.
Team, and I know the fan is tough for the fan right now, but the fan, yeah, just stick with us. You know, we've been through some rough times. We're gonna find a way to get there.
Stick with us. We've been through some rough times. We found ways to get through it. There's Nico Batum on the situation. All right, there you have it. So we heard from Nico, John Collins, and Coach Lou. And Tuca's just running around, jumping all over me and clawing the shit out of me here. All right. Just wanted to cover a little bit of yesterday's show, add some more context to that. My fault if I wasn't being clear enough on the 2 different points I was trying to make on the Chris Paul leeway situation, and then also how people interpreted what Chris Haynes said. You're one. How long do cats act like kittens? All right. Appreciate you guys. This has been another episode of Clippers Talk. Oh, and if you want to check out this thing in podcast form, just search Clippers Talk OT. The main iHeart feed got taken down for whatever reason as we shifted over from Spreaker to another upload site. Something got lost in translation. It got taken down. So to find the post-game shows and to find these episodes in audio form on the podcast side, just search Clippers Talk OT. It's got the red logo for you guys. I'm Adam Osland. We will talk to you soon. If not tomorrow, then on Thursday when the Clippers are in Houston for Game 5 of this 5-game road trip. Talk to you then.